Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Jeremy, founder of QuickMail.io.
Hey, and this is Jack, Chief Lead Generation Officer at salesbread.com. Today, we're coming at you with not one, but two cold email teardowns.
That's right. Today, Teardown.
Teardown. Teardown. Yes. 1, 2, 3, teardown. Okay. We'll work on that. For now, we're going to do some screen sharing. We're going to cover not just a couple of cold emails that Jeremy dug out of his spam folder. No, these are great cold emails. One of them I know got a response from you, and
Awesome.
you're a tough.
When we'll do the teardown, you'll see that you can't not reply to this one. It's just like, it's impossible.
Wow. Okay. So
Really good.
that's the first one. And the second one is no slouch either. We won't spill the beans if that got a reply as well, but some good emails that we're going to cover. But just before we dive in, here at SalesBread, we know that most B2B companies lack the time and expertise to turn cold prospects into warm leads. At salesbread.com, we generate one lead or appointment per day by sending ultra personalized cold emails and LinkedIn messages. If you want to find out how to get outbound to work in your organization, head over to salesbread.com/contact. Get in touch. I'll show you what's working.
Yeah. And at quickmail.io, you got free auto warmer for your inbox to make sure your deliverability stay on top. And yeah, and then if you're fancy it, you can also get like a subscription for our cold email software, which is awesome. Without further ado, should we go in?
Pretty good. Let's do this.
All right, so let me share my screen. All right.
Okay. As always, I'll read through the first cold email here. Subject line, subject line, subject line, subject line. This one blew me out of the water here. Developers who love koalas. Tell us why that blew our minds.
Okay, so for those who apply to QuickMail and have a chance to go to an interview with me or one of our team members, we put into our job description always a sort of like keyword that people are gonna have to tell us in order to make sure that at least they spend the time to read the job ad. So we spend a lot of time crafting the job ad, explaining what the job is about, what we're looking into, what we're looking in the candidates, what people should come, with, what we're expecting, and yada yada yada. But we expect people to read it before applying. And so as part of the list of things that we provide, or we'd like the candidate to provide, we have one line that says, if you apply, please make sure you answer koala for your favorite animal. And I mean, you'll be surprised by there's probably like 90% of people who just don't read. And so they answer like dog, penguin. I can basically do you like a graph as to what animal people prefer. And it's funny because we add also a small digression, but I think it's a good one. We also ask people to explain why they choose this animal. And people just answer like a full essay as to why they prefer horse. And they expect you to read it, but they didn't read your job specs. So, go figure. I don't know. Anyway, so that's why, koalas is in the subject line.
And it's making for probably the best subject line on the cast so far. The body continues. Says, hi, Jeremy. It's impressive that you're able to run 50 plus marathons in a year. Are there lots of running routes in Zurich? I found your Rails role on WWR. Would you consider taking a different approach to cover this talent need? My team at Big Binary is dedicated to helping other companies by leading, boosting, or supporting their technical team's productivity. AngelList, Gumroad, and Major League Baseball are some of the firms that already trust our engineers. If you're up for it, I'd love to jump on a call and see if we can work together. Warm regards.
Yeah. Do you like it, Jack?
Yeah, I do. 10 out of 10 for the personalization side. Definitely rock the house there. And also kudos for doing a good job with social proof, putting themselves on the that playing field that says, hey, we're trusted by big brands. So I'm a big fan of those two.
So we have to put ourselves in the shoes of someone who has a dev shop and look for people who potentially needs developer. And I receive tons of them. Every time I post on We Work Remotely or whatever kind of job post, job boards, then you always have like the typical spammer that just like say, hey, why don't you try your developers kind of thing. And um, it's a simple action. Read the email, put it into your cold email folder, job done. But this one surprised me. So when I read like developers who love koalas, I was thinking, oh yeah, that's someone who's not applying through a normal
Yeah, it's an
process,
applicant.
right? Yeah, I thought it was an applicant because I actually miss the S in developers, right? I thought it was like a personal person trying to apply and not going through the process. So I frown upon that because we obviously receive plenty of candidates, and whoever is going outside of our process is more work for me, which is something that candidates don't necessarily always understand. But they make my work harder. And most of the time I just reply like, hey, that's cool. Can you actually make sure you apply through the normal process? But in this case, I missed the S. So I was like almost like, thinking, okay, that's one of those developer again. But then I read the intro line, which is like, it's impressive that you've been running 50 plus marathon in a year. Are there
Which,
lots of running
yeah,
routes
you
in
have to
Zurich?
explain that for our listeners here. What is this about 50 plus marathons in a year?
Yeah, so basically, a few weeks ago, a few weeks ago, it's been a year since I've been running every day, about 6 kilometers, which is I think 2.7 miles or something like that, and on a regular basis every day, or at least 6 days a week minimum, and minimum 2.7 miles. Sometimes I just run more. And I just posted something, on LinkedIn as a funny joke, like, how can you actually run 50 plus marathons in a year? And in fact, I just say it's simple. You run every day 6 kilometers. And so that was just it, right? So there's a bit of a conversation about this, and then that's it. But it's the way the personalization has been used in this email is awesome because they find something that is remarkable in me and actually just congratulates me on this. And also talking about any roots in Zurich means like he's done his research as to where I live as well. So it's pretty good. I mean, I was like, when I read that, I was like, okay, well, that person's got my attention. It's like, together with the subject line is like,
Right.
you can't ignore that. Like, I don't, it could
Yeah.
have answered anything after that, you know, I would have just, answered. Because if you see about it, the call to action is almost non-existent regard, even like really rubbish.
Right. Right.
I should say. But I did reply nonetheless, right?
Okay. So yeah, that brings me to probably a future question, how this email would perform without that personalization. But for now, though, I want to point out that they looked at personalization details in two places. They read thoroughly your entire job subscription and decided to
Job
that's my subject
subscription.
line for it.
I'd love to have a job subscription. It's a job description.
Look at me, dude. Job description, and then they use that as subject, but then they went to your LinkedIn and saw your recent posts and used that for another. So they were
Yeah.
doing their homework.
They were definitely doing them homework. I wonder if it would have worked so well with just a hobby. Like imagine, for example, I do guitar or guitar solo and stuff like that. It's like, it's not that impressive. Like a lot of people are playing guitar. I'm not sure if that would have been as, impressive, but they did find something that is impressive. And I think that's pretty cool. What do you think?
Yeah, no, 10 out of 10 for personalization. So let's actually, just for fun, I'm going to remove this intro sentence here. Would you reply to that?
No,
Why not?
because it's no different than the other one. Like, I'm not that interested in, I want developer in-house. I don't want, a shop. Like, outside. For me, this is a core competency at Quickmail because we're very tech focused. So I don't want to develop external talent. It's going to be internal.
But be
And
that as it may, you still would reply to that same thing with
no,
this personalization.
I would
No?
reply. No, without personalization, I probably wouldn't reply because I received too many of those. So it doesn't even qualify. It's like, I don't care your credential. It's like, it's not interesting, but it deserved
Right.
the right of doing of having a reply from me because of the personalization was so good. That's the only reason. So it's reciprocity, nothing more. Like if
Fair.
it was like a normal email, I wouldn't have spent time on it. It's just like an
Look
automated
at that.
email. Who cares? But because there is like well thought personalization, it deserves an answer. And the answer was the same as I would have if I answered the email, which is no, no thanks. But here, um, that made all the difference.
How would you improve this? Let's look at the call to action in particular.
Yeah, the call to action would have definitely helped to have a better call to action. I think one thing that is an assumption I'm uncomfortable with personally on this email, which is I think when there is so much competition, it goes one step too far in terms of the assumption. Like, I think it would have gone better by saying like, "Hey, Jeremy, I saw that." Well, I don't necessarily like that, but is that I know you're hiring at the moment. Not like I saw you, job posting, whatever. I know you're hiring
Yeah.
at the moment for developers. Would you consider um, agencies for doing your development? And
Like
that's like
taking a step
pre-qualify.
backwards.
Exactly. I think that's going too far at this stage. And then I would just reply, no, move on, job done. Right. And I think that's an assumption I'm uncomfortable with at this stage when there are so many people just asking for the same thing and boasting about those things. It's like, I'm not even interested. I'm not even in the market, dude. And that would be probably what I would do is I would take a step back and then ask that, especially if I could, for
Smart.
example, have um, a second part of my business that is more headhunting. It's like, oh, that's cool. We also provide those services, right? So maybe
Sure.
I could have those two sides. One is landing developer, and the other one is actually doing headhunting. I don't know.
Yeah, good point. Just wondering if that shorter email would need social proof to make it really work. So it's like, Jeremy, you're hiring a Rails role right now for QuickMail. Would you consider using an agency for this role instead? Question mark. And then I'm thinking like, P.S. Here's a few of our P.S. Angeles, Gumroad, and Major League Baseball have taken this route with us before.
I
Know.
don't
You'd
relate
be in
to
good
any of those
company.
ones,
Yeah.
honestly. So I think here the personalization not that great. They're not other SaaS businesses like mine, right? So that's one thing that I will say.
Right.
The other thing I would say is that there's no harm in sending a second email. Like this email could very well work as a second email if you don't get the reply on the first one. Then you can
Great
try to
point.
sort of like assume that,
Great
hey,
point.
just so I mentioned, we are an agency. We do provide, highly talented developer or whatever is your key strength or key advantages.
Right.
Recently we've been working with X. Hopefully your X drop is effectively a business that is close to mine. And then a proper call to action. It's like, should
Yep.
we talk next week or this week? Or is hiring not that important at the moment?
Great points. I just want to bring up that this is a classic example of a weak call to action. So I'll just read it again. If you're up for it, I'd love to jump in a call together and see if we could work.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's my advice is always end a cold email with a question mark so that it's a clear ask. It's a clear call to action for the reader. They know exactly what you want from them. It's the worst you can do as a copywriter is to make it vague what they should do afterwards. So
Yeah. What do you think
yeah.
of this? My thoughts is always like I can add so what at the end of the of that, and if I can, then it's missing the point somehow. It's like I'd love to XYZ. I was like, so what? But if you say, would it make sense to discuss to help you out, accelerate your hiring process? Like, okay, I understand what you want or what you're gonna bring me as a
Right.
benefit.
I don't think that only applies to call to actions. I think that's
Good
for
point.
the benefit. That's the benefit in the email. But a call to action can be as simple as, should I send more details? Question mark. If you've explained enough in the email where it's a clear benefit, that's still an
You're
okay call
right.
to action in my book. Okay. But
Agreed.
here's my takeaway. Chivalry is not dead. If you can take the time to really do your recipient a solid and research and add personalization, you're going to build in some reciprocity that can do, it can be a pattern interrupt, right? And that can earn you the reply, where in other cases you might not. But Jeremy, well said. Breaking it down to 2 steps, I think more of us should keep that in mind.
Yeah, and that helps people who don't know, who have the writer block when it comes to the follow up. Just like,
Right,
just write
right.
the email you want.
True.
All right, here's the
Okay.
second email.
Second email, and if you're watching on the YouTube, you are seeing a GIF here embedded in
Animated, yeah.
the, yeah, animated. All right, so let's give this a read. Client-facing analytics at QuickMail, says the subject. Hey, Jeremy, I noticed QuickMail offers client-facing analytics and reports, so I was curious if it can feel like a burden to manage. Company works with MarTech platforms who need an embedded solution that makes it possible for them and their clients to quickly spin up new dashboards/insights. Our no-code drag-and-drop editor would help you avoid the bottlenecks associated with analytics projects. No rush, but does that sound like something you'd be open to learning more about? Best signature.
Yeah, what do you think of that, Jack? If you receive this email,
Yes. Well, the first thing I'm going to get drawn to is this GIF, and it's really fast moving. I don't know what the hell it's doing. Maybe you do, but that's my first reaction. It's like, ooh, a lot of stuff going on here in this GIF.
well, it kind of makes sense in the sense that this for the listeners, you basically see a dashboard with graphs that keeps on moving, constantly, and it seems to be like a sort of like drag and drop of
And it's
modules
in
of
like triple
information.
speed. So the
Yeah,
mouse is hauling ass.
but that makes sense. That really drew my attention to it. It's like, whoa, what's that moving? On a personal note, I don't think those are the best design stuff. So it's probably like a coder type of company with no designer or style or. But so it doesn't really make me want to show that to my clients. It's just like a small remark on the product itself, which is interesting because you are in the business of visualization. So you would think that you'll get something looking nice. But if it was looking nice, I probably will go to the next level kind of thing. But that's not really my style. So I kind of like would drop it here. But at least I think it did its job. Like it drew my attention. It's in pattern interrupt, right?
Right. So let's talk about this intro line here. I noticed QuickMail offers client-facing analytics and reports, so was curious if it can feel like a burden to manage. So kudos on just coming right out and saying it. I just wonder, from your perspective, how did that come across? And more specifically, did this scream "I'm a cold email" at the top of its lungs?
It did, but I wasn't necessarily opposed to it. Like, this is an interesting value proposition, so it got me thinking a little bit. I mean, granted, everything was super fast. It ended up in my cold email swap folder very quickly. But the way I did it is that I pay really rarely attention to the subject line. I just go through all my emails. Like, I got a process where I do my email, and then I either delete or archive or move to a folder, and then it goes automatically to the next email. So there's no really me picking up what email I'm opening. But so I don't pay much attention to the subject line, but it drew me straight away to the moving email. So like, oh, that's nice. That's interesting. And then I read the first line, and then I was good. I did make my decision already. I don't want to read the rest of the email. And then he ended up in my cold email swap file. What's interesting here is that if this was a problem for me straight away, then I think this is a great way of exposing it. Like, can you think in your own business right? Whatever you're offering, is there a way to, or is there a visual component to it that you can demonstrate to your potential prospects straight away? I think that's a really key takeaway here, because you will get their attention. And if that resonates, then they will start reading. What do you think, Jack? Does that make sense? And of course, if you're muted, that's way harder.
That would help. Yeah. Hey, Jeremy, back. Yeah. So I think, to be honest, we don't put a whole lot of images and cold emails, but I know that videos work, and I can see, in my case, if I included screenshots of some either emails or testimonials that clients said, or even better, just screenshots of replies that we've been generating, or a screenshot of a calendar full of booked appointments, that may resonate. But you have to choose carefully, because you want that image to put the best foot forward, as opposed to this, which you said the design wasn't up to standard. So that kind of shot it in the foot right away. So, okay, good notes on the intro. I'm thinking, how did you like how they said they work with MarTech platforms? Do you identify?
I don't know what MarTech platform is.
Marketing technology.
Marketing
technology, but
I'm not the cool kid on the block anymore. I don't know those terms.
Look at that. No, my question is, like, should that have been a dynamic placeholder? Yeah, like, should that have been something where they say, "Oh, we work with outbound sales tools"? If they did have a client in that space, that probably would have helped a lot. Maybe not. And any thought on that?
Yeah, I think the key value proposition here is the next line, which I obviously didn't read, but it's like, or no code drag and drop editor, right? It's like, that's what you should lead with. It's a no code, right? And I think that's very important to, you obviously don't cold outreach CTO with this solution. You cold outreach business developers,
founder,
or project manager, or founder, the one who don't have and suffer from not having technical skills, so they can't express what they want with their clients. That's the people you should go after. Of course, QuickMail is a technology first company, so that doesn't fly for me. And instead of me judging the video, I could have judged the merit of this solution, which is empowering people with no code to actually produce great dashboards. And that's what your value proposition is about. And I completely missed it because it was buried after 3-4 lines. You see what I mean?
What about this, Jeremy? What about this for an intro then? What if we said, "Hey, Jeremy, I'm not a QuickMail user, but I'm sure your dashboard tracks open rates and reply rates for starters. Our no-code drag and drop editor would help you, let's say, manage these dashboards easily." And then maybe a screenshot, and it's like, does this sound like something that you'd be interested to learn about? And in that case, merge tags can only be like 2 custom metrics that this particular tool would track. Right. I mean, you could,
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I don't think that would have worked particularly well, because I would have expected you to do a bit more research first. Like, hey, from what I can see from screenshots, or from what I tried, this is how the dashboard is looking like currently in QuickMail. Could you actually see that being more, or more customizable, or did you actually think of exposing and then maybe showing some demo reel, like things that you actually did with your thing? I think that would have that worked a little bit better. And I missed my train of thoughts. There was something else I wanted to say, but that's going to come back. So stay tuned. Jack is going to save me here.
Yeah. Okay. So we need to pick on the CTA here. No rush, but does that sound like something you'd be open to learning more about? Okay.
Yeah,
so
no rush.
I don't know why the no rush thing. That's what bothers me. I would rather have said, does that sound like something you'd be open to learning more about? I mean, that's
no rush. I'll reply next year if I remember.
Exactly. How about, is that something you'd be open to learning more about?
Of course, that's much better.
Yeah.
But then you could effectively filter on the no code at this level too, right? You could say, like, are you guys open to no code? And then show me the benefit of no code. Does that mean that as a product manager, I can get to design a dashboard without the need of the developer? Or does that mean that as a client, I can build my own dashboard based on the data that is given by the software? It's kind of blurry to me as to what the use case really is here and who is really the target audience.
Okay. What about this, Jeremy? I'm thinking, hey, Jeremy, if you send me a screenshot of your current dashboard,
I love it.
I'll have my designer mock something up with our no-code drag and drop editor. Just tell me what other metrics you want on it.
No string attached.
No string attached. Pretty good.
Love it. Absolutely freaking love it.
And then a follow-up would be like, hey, Jeremy, just FYI, this is one of the latest dashboards that we helped a client with. Boom.
Either that or PS. PS has some links to your demo reel. So just to figure out, like, if I'm interested, if I click on it, you got an interested prospect, which is pretty hot. And then you can, hit him with like, you can keep on sending them new dashboard that they have, because that means like technically they're like interested in figuring out like, oh, what kind of dashboard could I do?
Yeah.
I like that.
So, okay. So in other words, it sounds like if I just completely killed this sentence here, and from our listeners, I am removing the one that starts off with, we target MarTech companies that blah, 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 blah. I'm just curious, is this losing anything if we drop that whole sentence?
Oh yeah, so let me retry. So we got, hey, Jeremy, I noticed QuickMail offer client-facing analytics. I mean, like, speak normally. It's like,
that's true. I spent some time on QuickMail's dashboard after a quick trial and saw some of the metrics you were tracking.
Yeah.
I was wondering if it felt like a burden to manage the design and upkeep.
That doesn't resonate when you burden to manage. It's like, well, I'm not quite sure what that means, managing the dashboard,
How could they have restated this so that it resonates?
So I like what you started. Like, hey, I've been playing with QuickMail a little bit. I noticed the way you're displaying the data.
Specifically your opens and different accounts using QuickMail.
Yeah, although it doesn't need to. It's like, I notice that you're displaying some data to the user. Have you ever considered in making it more, enjoyable or more appealing?
Yeah, visually appealing.
Yeah, exactly, visually appealing. Right. I think that would be great. And
that's a better tack than a pain to manage.
That's right.
Beautify
and a burden
Beautify your
manage,
dashboard.
Like, manage what? Like, what?
Yeah, good point.
Where's the burden? I don't know.
Good point.
I'm not resonating.
And that's on you for. And when I say you, I mean this writer. This is on them for understanding the pain points that they're solving, really. So they took the wrong street, so to speak.
Yep. Definitely keep the animated GIF. It did draw my attention and interrupted my pattern in replying to emails. So I think this is definitely something that you should have, which is interesting because the reason why we wanted to put it into this teardown is that you don't necessarily have to interrupt with your words. You can interrupt with, a moving image. Jack is mentioning about, the website and a video and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this is the same sort of idea. It's like something new. Because bear in mind that if I received an email like that every week about someone willing to send me a dashboard or stuff like that, you will have to go to the crazy level of personalization that you've seen in a previous email for getting my attention, because otherwise it's just like, oh yeah, yet another, of those dashboards.
Right. Well, I think we did justice to these two teardowns. Jeremy, any other notes on your end?
No, great cast, Jack. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks. And as always, for more on cold email hacks, tips, tricks, and everything else,
the course.
Check out course. There you go. course.quickmail.io. Can't forget it. If you want to take cold email to the next level and you're looking for more resources and you like what you're hearing so far, you definitely want to check out the course. Take it for a test trial.
We got a whole process over 8 weeks to take you or to help you master cold outreach. So it's quickmail.io/course. Actually, no, course.quickmail.io. Course.quickmail.io. No slashes.
Like,
Course.quickmail.io. There you go.
like, oh God, I've been saying it wrong.
Man.
All right. Hey, Jeremy, another great cast. Thank you,
All
man.
right. Take care. Bye,
See
Jack.
ya. Bye.